Okay, people, I'm selling my Kenne Bell 1.5 liter supercharger here. I'm actually parting it out, and reason behind that is I don't want to sell it as a whole and then somebody buy it for cheap and then go around and list it again and sell it for twice or even 3 times what they paid for it, and let the next guy worry about the issue. Because right now, if it's still on the car, if I had to, I could go and start this thing up and run it and go in here and show you the boost it makes, but it would be so loud that I wouldn't be able to talk here. And there's no point in it anyway, because if it spins freely, then apparently that's good enough, because some of these units are selling for over $2,000 and there's no history on them or anything. And I was originally trying to fix it, but every time I came across a donor, parts donor, it ended up selling to somebody, and then I see it again listed, weeks later. And I'll get into that in a minute. But the problem is that these things get old and they use oil. And this is at the point now where, I can't even drive it 20 miles without topping off the oil. So, the next person who gets this, if I were to say the supercharger is good, it does everything it's supposed to, it makes boost, blah blah blah, and it spins freely, that's not good enough, because the next guy who puts this on his car, it probably won't last a week before the snout seizes, sends the pulley into the hood, and then he finds out there's no oil in it, because they use oil. That's what happens. And I've given up on trying to get that donors, because people pay way too much money for them and turn around and sell them to the next unsuspecting motorhead. So and as far as rebuilding goes, I'm at a point where I need to upgrade, and I was going to go to a 2.2, which bolts up into these manifolds and all, but it's the same deal with those. So I got this motor here built, 400 horse, built to handle 18 psi, and it's just time to move on. So I'm going to part it out. One part of the project is this Whipple here, and if you can see on here, the Whipple, I've already done this. The Whipple will bolt up to the front. It'll bolt up to the back. The spacing's the same. But I don't want to do that because it's still not going to be intercooled. But that's a whole different story that I've gone over in other videos. So I'm going to part this out. I'm not going to take it off until I get some kind of deal going. The input snout is practically new, because that's how I found out it started using oil. Is that one day the car died, and I heard a pop and the car died. And I find the belt's gone, the pulley's gone. Actually sent the pulley into the hood, and it was locked up. It was like a big restrictor plate on the engine. So put a new snout on it. That cost me $420 some, well, plus shipping and tax. But that just got me by temporarily, because it just gradually started using more, and I'm checking the oil all the time now, and it's just time to move on. So I'm going to sell the input snout. I'm going to sell the discharge manifold, because this can actually be turned around 180 degrees the other way, and you can fab a lower plate for this. There's just other things you can do with it, because it still has like a runner, as opposed to like an open box kind of thing, or some of those open single plane manifold, EFI manifolds. The intake, that'll fit to a 2.2. You could, there's things you can do with them, because they do fit to Whipples and other Opcon units, MX422s, MX424s, even though you can't get them anymore. But there's projects out there for that stuff. And if somebody needs a good set of screws, the screws are fine. There's I think I've had this set up since 1994, and between the two cars it was on, I figured it out, it's like no more than 60,000 miles on it. But age, it's the time. It sat for a bunch of years too, so the seal's probably dried up. But that being said, that's why I'm selling it, and I'll show you here something online quick that has to do with this. Is basically why I kind of gave up on it. I was trying to fix it, at least so I could sell it to somebody and have and feel good about it. But I can't do that with that. And every time